All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions. Grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes. And let's make sure that we participate and engage, and everybody can hear me loud and clear. Do me a favor, drop me a one in the chat so we can go ahead and get this session started this morning. All right, I see the ones coming in. All right, so now I know my sound is good. Appreciate it, Joy. It's having a couple issues this morning, but we are all good now. So let's make sure that we always start with a strong foundation, making sure that we are always taking massive action, meaning that we're accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, assuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's continue to trust in our education, our strategy, our trading skills, and intuition. Let's always imagine our trade successfully materializing, right? Got to stay positive. And we always want to obey our trading strategies, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear. And we want to make sure that we are never looking back or stopping once our trade has commenced. All right. So, let's dive right in and see what is going on. Let's take a look first at the dollar index. See that it climbed above 100 on Thursday, extending gains to a third straight session. Extending gains really should be for a third straight session after a federal court ruled that President Donald Trump overstepped his authority in imposing reciprocal tariffs. The U.S. Court of International Trade declared the tariffs unlawful to all, not just the five U.S. businesses that filed the lawsuit, and ordered the tariffs to be vacated and permanently blocked. The Trump administration is expected to appeal the decision. Meanwhile, investors kept a close eye on U.S. Senate debates over Trump's sweeping tax and spending bill, which is likely to undergo significant revisions in the upper chamber. We'll see about that. Right? On the monetary policy front, the latest FOMC minutes indicated that officials are adopting a cautious wait and see approach, aiming to assess the economic fallout from the recent government actions and tariff developments. Policymakers also noted that risk of both rising inflation and unemployment had increased, right? And so we've been tracking that, right? Because of these policies, right? Risks to both rising inflation and unemployment had increased, right? And so we'll continue to watch the back and forth. Once again, the courts step in. Once again, the corporations step in, right? The corporations, right, have the ability, right, to file lawsuits. They have the ability to pay lobbyists huge sums of money, right, to go to DC and advocate for what they need, right, right, so they can try to keep their advantage no matter who's in office, right? So we'll continue to see what happens, right? And so that was from the U.S. Court of International Trade that declared that the reciprocal tariffs are unlawful. And like they said, of course, they've got a lot of money. They'll appeal, and we'll see what happens there. Right. So we'll see if the judicial system will continue to hold up and fight back against some of these policies. Right. Uh, moving on. Right. Oil rises for the second straight session. And that again. Um, Going back to the courts ruling that it blocked, right? That ruling that supported the U.S. court ruling that blocked many of President Trump's global tariffs, right? Calling them illegal. The decision eased market fears about the impact of tariffs on global growth and oil demand, while the Trump administration plans to appeal, right? Oil also found support from geopolitical tensions as Libya's eastern government threatened to halt production after a militia stormed the state oil company's HQ, underscoring risk to supply. Despite recent gains, oil prices remain under pressure from concerns about OPEC Plus production increases and the broader impact of Trump's trade policies. Uh, OPEC Plus is set to meet Saturday and may approve more supply hikes for July. Meanwhile, new U.S. sanctions on Russia are being considered, though their impact is seen as limited so far. Uh, U.S. crude inventories fell by 4.2 million barrels last week, according to API data. Right. So we'll see. We'll see about the sanctions on Russia. Donald Trump, for whatever reason, right? I have my ideas, continues to tippy toe around Vladimir Putin, right? Even though you got still the strongest economy in the world, the strongest military in the world, for some reason he has uh, struggles with dropping a major hammer on Russia, right? So we'll continue to watch and see what happens with that. Japan consumer sentiment rises from over a 2 year low. But that's that. The main thing really is is what's going to happen with this bill in the Senate. All right, this tax bill in the Senate. That's going to be the major thing. You can see the back and forth. Look at the S&P. Not giving us much, right? A lot of back and forth, kind of just stagnant, right? Most sectors down uh, for the most part yesterday. So we'll continue to watch that. But like I say, until we know we always follow the fundamentals. But the main thing that's going to draw the narrative the second half of this year is that bill, right? Today we've got preliminary GDP numbers coming out, Q over Q for the United States. Also, unemployment claims for the United States as well. That's at 8:30. Got natural gas storage coming out. We've got some FOM members speaking. We got crude oil inventory speaking. We got Goolsby FOMC members speaking. So we'll see. They're probably we got another one speaking tonight. Not sure exactly what the topic's going to be, but we've got the notes that said, hey, they're taking a cautious approach to everything. So we'll see if they continue to fall in line with that. All right. So of course we got bank holidays, right? French bank holiday, Switzerland, German bank holiday as well. So just keep that in mind as you're trading the market, especially if you're day trading. All right. So that's it. Any questions on any of the fundamentals so far? Anything to add? Thoughts? No. All right, moving over to the DXY. All right, take a look at the daily, see what's going on. Hit that 100 mark, right back down. All right, right back down. So we'll continue to see what happens. Here we are on the 4 hour. Right, you see it turned over. All right, keep hitting that 100 level, turning right back over. So we'll see what happens throughout the day. We've got GDP numbers, so we'll see what happens with the US dollar. Any questions on the dollar? No. All right, so let's take a look at some setups here. Looking at the Aussie CAD, right? 80/20 setup that we've been following, slowly but surely making its way down to TP1. Not quite there yet. But we're getting close, right? So coming out of that zone, lowest point, we're up 175 pips. Right now, where we stand at about 120, 125, 126 on that, right? So we're trying to get that target one. So if you're in that position, just continue to manage that trade. Is already down over 100 pips. Any questions on the Aussie cat? All right. Moving on, taking a look at I think I had anything on the. Oh, this hit a while ago and turned over, but that was the 80-20 on the Aussie. Swiss is just moving sideways now after hitting that first level. All right, so that's another 80-20 that played out. Okay. Another 80-20 that played out there. Um, Moving on to the Aussie yen, right? This is one that's been bouncing around that I'm still holding short, but we've pulled back. We've pulled back a bit. We'll see if we continue to hold at that 95, what is that, 93.54 level. I've been holding a short position on this one for quite some time, so it just keeps bouncing back and forth. So we'll see if it wants to make his mount up and move in my direction. So we'll see about that, but not a whole lot there, right? Not a whole lot there. Okay. A little bit of a crown action type action there, but we'll see if it wants to continue to make its way down. Pretty bearish on the Aussies across the board. Aussie, New Zealand. Yeah. So those of them short, right? Trying to get to 295. Right now, we are down off that level over 100 pips there, about 111 pips, 110, 111 pips or whatnot. So these are taking a while, but moving in the right direction on that. So trying to get to that target at 295. Any questions on the Aussie NZD? Anybody currently short on the Aussie NZD? Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, doing pretty good. What's on your mind this morning, man?
Um, not well, just paying attention to the Fed and in the conversation yesterday, which you probably discussed. Um, just seeing how overall that'll play into the market as the market opens today.
Yep, yep, yeah. That's true. And like you said, we got some members speaking today. I'm not sure what the topics are, but um, be interested to see if any of them give any more insight.
Yeah,
Coming out those meeting minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing that I was getting caught up on this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, we were just talking about the same thing with the waiting to see what happens with that bill.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's gonna be like I know a lot of people think it's gonna get watered down a lot, but I don't think so.
I
Hopefully
don't
I'm
think it
hopefully
does
I'm
either.
wrong. Yeah, hopefully I'm
I,
wrong, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, and looking at everything, and even though there's some folks kind of playing the middle right now, I think ultimately they fold on the pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, man. See what
Yes,
happens. But
sir.
that's the big one. I know that's what the market is waiting on, so I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting on it as well. Nvidia came through pretty good.
They did.
Yeah, they came through pretty good. They topped estimates, but they did say they expect a $8 billion hit from the lost China sales.
And so what's crazy is um, even with those losses that they'll likely realize, and there's some losses on those larger chips too.
Yep,
Um, but even with those, they're still in an extremely powerful position,
no
which is
doubt.
amazing.
Yeah, and I think people, I think it's in that stock rally a bit because people realize that.
Yep, yep, exactly.
People realize that. So yeah, man, appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, all right. So let's take a look at this Aussie dollar, right? Still doing the dance, can't figure itself out, right? Can't get that dollar to completely lose lose steam and give us that breakdown, right? So this is a tough one. A lot of back and forth on this one, but still in the zone, right? We've seen a lot of setups like this in the past where it moves around, and then it goes in the direction we need it to. So continue to hold that position until the market makes up its mind. Maybe we'll get some GDP data today, uh, quarterly data that'll impact the dollar. Maybe it'll go in our direction. So that's where we are on the Aussie dollar. Moving down to the Euro Aussie, right? This one is still in play, right? Took off, broke our trend line, but then it's been moving sideways. So um, that's still an active play for us. And we've still got that's 310 pips or so to TP1 still from where it's at. So coming out of the zone, right? Even though it's moving sideways now, that's still 256 pips out of that zone. So that's where we are on the Euro Aussie. As simple as that. Trying to get it to TP1. Any questions on the Euro Aussie? Yep.
No, sir.
All right. Uh, I want to take a look at this pound Aussie, right? Where we look at this daily, right? We came right to a decent zone here, right? And we took off, right? And so if I'm thinking weak on the Aussie right now, right? We are moving up off of this level. So let me see if I roll back. Right? So here's the larger fib, right? Price is still moving up. Got a 80-20 here on this sub fib there, right? And you see the reaction already moving down, right? So that's a play there, but we're looking for corrections and continuations on this pound Aussie, right? So you can see where we got the deep pullback, and we're trying to eventually get to that target, but we've broken an inner and an outer trend line. Now we're looking for opportunities, right? It's, like I said, that's an 80-20 play there on the sub fib, or you're just looking for an opportunity here for it to correct, right? And then get long, right? To correct and then get long, right? So a bit of a longer term play. But I like the direction in which that's going right now. Okay, so that's the pound Aussie, the pound CAD, right? Still trying to move, right? To that direction to the upside. There was that head and shoulders from a while ago off the sub fib on the daily, right? So it's grinding, but if we get a clear picture here on this 4 hour, right, where we came into our zone, buy zone, and then we took off from there, right? So that's currently at 335 pips, right? So we've got to that extension about another 100 pips, right? So even though the market, right, is not, it doesn't seem to be moving as fast, right, in a lot of areas because everything that's going on, right, the market is still moving, right, in waves, right? So we still can build our case fundamentally, right? Why certain currencies should move against other currencies, right? Technically, and we see that, right? So we still got an ABCD wave going on there. That one's up over 300 pips. Take a look at this pound Swissy, right? 80-20. Yeah, we know that 80-20 hit the zone, right? So we hit TP1, see if we can get it to go to TP2. All right. So that this one out of the zone, right? TP1 4 hour, 376 pips to the target. Okay. So yes, they're taking a while, okay? But the pips are just adding up. The pips are just adding up on these plays. Any questions on the pound Swissy? All
No,
right.
sir.
Okay. Pound yen. This is another one that just continues to slowly grind and move to the upside, right? Ever since we got that trend line break, that deep A6 retracement. So, hey, we're looking to move towards that target. What do we always say? The key, right, which a lot of people, right, can't get, right, is the direction. You got to try doing your best to get it going in the right direction, right? So we're bullish on this, right? Especially, with everything that's going on with the yen right now. We came into the year, a lot of reports are thinking hikes, interest rate hikes. But that kind of tailed off a bit. Right? The idea of that kind of tailed off a bit, right? So things steadily moving up against the yen, right? This pound, right? It's just grinding its way upward, right? And so we're at a level now where we've got to that target, almost 300 pips still to that target. So what you do is you can kind of move down to your lower time frame, see if there's any opportunity, right? We got a 382 push there. If it just continues to work its way towards that 4 hour, um, that 4 hour target, like so. Okay. Can I go down to my lower charts, right? This leg here is making higher highs and higher lows. Can I can I catch a bid there, right? To move higher, right? So we come down uh to our charts and our layouts on this pound yen. We come down to the 15 minute, right? And uh-oh, what just happened there? That's weird. Come down to this 15 minute here and all right, retract that low. Know where our target is. There's the beginning of this leg to the upside. Can we catch a setup that can help us work our way to this 4 hour extension? And it's 4 hour 1.18 extension. So we're in our zone here. So maybe we could price the U-turn. This is a 15 minute fib. Okay. So, yeah. So maybe we look for price to at some point continue to work its way higher. Questions on the pound yen? Nope. Right. Moving on, right? To the pound NZD. Trying to get to that target, right? We came within a couple pips, right? A few pips of that TP1, but this one is technically still active on the 80-20, right? So out of the zone, okay, the high point was 487, right? 487 with the pullback is still over 300 pips out of that zone, right? So you just have to, get in the habit of setting it up, trade the zone, right? We know this is an 80-20. Okay. No, this is an 80-20. Mhm. Just trade the zone, right? You know your risk before you take the trade. Keep it as simple as possible. Keep it as simple as possible, right? Make sense? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. Because we even see that even it's like some of these moves and the time that it's taking, it reminds me of kind of like those summer months, right? When there's less volume and things like that in the market, because there's uncertainty, right? People are being cautious because of all the back and forth, fiscal policy, trying to keep a beat on the monetary policy front, right? Which we just saw with the meeting minutes and things like that, the back and forth with the tariffs, the court lawsuits, all types of stuff going on. Uh, big, huge bill looming, tax bill looming. So at the end of the day, things they're not moving as fast as they typically would, but they're moving. But they're moving. And so we just have to adjust our expectations a little bit, right? In regards to the time it's taking for, price to reach the target, but they're reaching the targets. They're reaching the targets. So trade small, and trade your zones. All right, that's it. This pound dollar. Okay. Continuing, right? We just came in. We're retesting a daily level now. Whew. Look at that, right? Look at that move. This is what I'm saying. Like it's moving. It is moving. The zones are still tradable, right? Are they super clean, right? No, like that's a whole lot of back and forth right there. But that came in right on the 61A. Now we've got a break and a retest of this zone, right? A break and retest of this zone. Okay. So the question is, right? This 1 hour 80-20, are we going to turn over? The data that's coming out today, right? Will help us with that possibly, with that GDP data. Okay. That's major data coming out for the US, right? So are we going to, right, retest this area, which this is that 1 hour chart that I was doing over. Break this level down. Okay. Boom. Okay. Are we going to hold up or are we going to turn over? Let's see what happens at 8:30. Right? I think that's what time it is today. 8:30. GDP and unemployment claims for the United States. See what type of impact that it has, right? But if we come down and break this level, we're going to go to target one. All right? We'll go to target one. But overall, this has been moving bullish. Okay. If we hold up at this level, it's going to keep it moving. Right? Probably going to keep it moving. So this is going to be an interesting one. Right? Ryan, what do you think on this pair? I'm interested to see if this holds up. This level holds up after the fundamentals today. Oh, he dropped off. Like he dropped off. Okay. What do you guys think? You think we're gonna make one more push down to that TP1 on the 1 hour? You think we're gonna move higher off this daily level?
It's been looking so bullish.
Yeah, I know. I know. But I
Oh no, Benny.
Give us 1 second, everybody. Ben is logging back in right now.
All right, we're good. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. All right, so I don't know what happened. Everybody got kicked out, uh, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this turns back over. There we go. So that's where we are on the pound dollar. Uh,
My bad, bro.
okay.
You asked me a question.
No, I was just asking what you had thought on this pair, whether it's gonna make another drive down to that TP1 or if it's gonna stay long off of that daily level. I know we've got that data coming out at 8:30.
Yeah, that's the part I was kind of iffy about. I obviously would like it to make another drive down, but the data is going to be interesting to see off the back of those medium minutes too. So um, we'll see that that could drive it down to give us that low price to get back long.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. All right. Well, that's let me see. I think I have one NZD CAD is just holding up. NZD Swissy a while ago where we hit the daily extension and we're pulling back. Um this one is this one here. This one finished out. It's 4 hour NZD JPY. We hit target one and then we took off. Right. So that one was another one that we were tracking, right? 271 pips to target one, right? And so we'll see if this is going to continue to stay bullish from there. But TP1 got hit on that one to make sure I covered that one because that was another successful 80-20. And then NZD USD, this is kind of like that Aussie dollar setup where it's just it's trying to make its mind up. So we don't have anything on that one yet. That one's pretty much in the same zone still. But that is a technical 80-20, right? If you're following that one. All right. And that's all I have. We got an 86 retracement on EU, 30 minute. Hopefully it drops from there. So let's take a look at the EU. On the 30 minute. That one played out, huh? Right? That last one. Right? So hopefully some people took advantage of that one. That one hit target there. And then we got an A6 on this one, so we're running it off off the sub fib, I'm thinking. All right, so that's our major fib. We got an A6 there too. Let me see. Yep. Okay. So that's odd, right? You got an A6 on the capital fib. This is an 80-20 here on this previous fib. All right. So if you're trading that EU on the 30, this one's giving us all types of action, right? So this is one that we had marked up a while ago. That hit target. You had an 80-20 here, which I missed on the EU 30 minute. I don't know if anybody traded that to the upside, but that hit our zone and moved up. And now we had an 86 retracement turned over. And Reese, right, dropped some sevens in the chat. He's saying, hey, we got a possible C to D move with an 86 retracement on the sub fib. Okay. Being active, right? Making plays, finding the setups. Finding the setups. So let's see what happens. See if we turn over. It's been falling bearish. Okay, so some big moves there. One we caught, other one I didn't catch at least on this 80-20. And now we've got this pullback. Okay. It's the same concepts playing out over and over and over again. Okay. It's the euro dollar. Appreciate it. What's the time we have remaining? Any other setups right that we're looking at? I went through everything that I had my eyes on. Anything else that we want to take a look at? Not that's okay too, right? Not too much going on. Right. We'll take a look at we'll do this. We'll take a look at NVIDIA. Right. Continue to push higher. Okay. That ABCD wave played out, right? You just market charts up and let it go, right? That played out. Now we got a new AB boundary. We're getting a rally coming out of yesterday. We'll see what happens when the market opens. See if we get a correction and a continuation, right? But if you are, it is in my personal portfolio, NVIDIA is a long-term buy for me. It's just a matter of looking for opportunities anytime we can get a low price to buy again, right? And so this is looking like that might push to that extension without a correction, right? But we'll see what happens when the market opens. But put in a rally after the data. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens because that was after hours yesterday. So let's see what happens. Let's see how it opens today with NVIDIA. Moving on, taking a look at some of these stocks,
I got
right?
a new one to take a look at, bro. That could be positively impacted by this tax bill.
Which one? What is it?
PAVE. It's an ETF. It's a global U.S. infrastructure development ETF.
Okay. Uh, is it showing up? Does it show up on Smart Trader?
P as in Paul. PAVE. PAVE.
PAVE. PAVE. It shows up on Smart Trader.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look at it in 1 second. So Tesla continues to climb, right? Moving through as the 80/20 we identified on Tesla, it continues to make higher highs and higher lows, right? So Tesla's moving back up, back at 359, right? So we'll see if that goes up and retest the highs, which I think it will, right? So it was another opportunity to buy it, right? Which is what we talked about at the lows, right? To get long back long on Tesla, right? Um, if socially you don't support it, I get it, right? But technically is moving to the upside, right? Here we are on Apple 1 hour chart, kind of just doing a whole lot of being stuck, right? On Tesla. So I mean not Tesla, but Apple, right? This is where we are there. Okay. Not a whole lot. We were looking at this Microsoft setup. Okay. Still hovering in that 80/20 zone. Still hovering in that 80/20 zone. Have to follow this one closer to see what will actually cause a deep correction on this one. This is a 1 hour chart. What will cause that to move down, right? But it's struggling. It's struggling in that area on Microsoft. So we'll see what happens. Costco still doing this thing, right? To the upside. I do expect that to eventually hit that target at 1251 on Costco.
On Apple,
Walmart.
bro.
Hmm?
Sorry to interrupt you. On Apple, Trump is threatening, I believe it's 25% tariffs on all Apple
Oh yeah.
devices coming out of China. So I'm curious to see how that impacts overall over the long term. Because I don't know that Apple changes its strategy.
Yeah. I I know he's putting a lot of pressure on them, man. So I'm not he wants it to be American made.
Yeah.
We'll see. I appreciate you bringing that up because I forgot about that.
Yep.
That's crazy. But you see how they fight it, the corporations fight it. They go through the courts.
Right.
Like they went to the courts on them, like, nah, right? U.S. trade court blocks Trump's tariffs, so they're fighting it. At the same time that they support his campaign, and a lot of them gave him money for president because they want to see those tax breaks. You know, they'll fight against what they need to fight against to make sure that their companies thrive. So, and this is one of those situations, right? You funneled all that money to him to get him elected because you didn't want to see those tax breaks expire at the end of this year. And but then at the same time, you're fighting against them on these tariffs. So
hmm
that's why I don't. That's why I do my best not to get emotional about this stuff because look at that. You funded this campaign, now you got him in court. Like it's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy. So, and here's Walmart, right? Kind of just moving sideways lately. This is a 1 hour chart, but you can see when they hit these levels, right? As crazy as that looks, look at that rejection around that 61.8 in that buy zone. So even though that's moving sideways now, had you bought that in the buy zone, right? You'd be up right now on Walmart. That's at 97. That's under $100. That's under $100. So and they already said, hey, some of these because of the tariffs, right? This price it's gonna get passed on to the customer. Period. All right, it's gonna get passed on to the customer. So that's that. Let's look at this. before we wrap things up. I'll do it on this Exxon Mobil chart. I'll trade this one out. It's PAE. All right. And tell me one more time, Ryan, what this one is again.
This is infrastructure. It is. Let me get back to my um, but global U.S. infrastructure development. Um, it holds industrials, materials, information technology, and utilities. Um, some of the top holdings: United Rentals, Caterpillar, Vulcan Materials, Martin Marietta Materials, and Nuclear Corp. And we might see it move down in the short term, but this is one that could be positively impacted by the passing of that tax bill. Um, with FAA and infrastructure modernization funding, could positively impact this one. The demand for materials, construction, and equipment, and the repeal of those green energy subsidies could be redirected toward traditional infrastructure, which could positively impact this.
Gotcha. Gotcha. It's a big one. How did you find this one?
So I did a whole setup in ChatGPT, just analyzing all ETFs and searching for ETFs that could be positively impacted by the passing of the tax bill and everything that it entails. Um, and I got a nice little portfolio that I'm researching right now of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 ETFs in different sectors,
Yeah.
from consumer discretionary to just broad market. um, just uh, in preparation for whenever this bill gets passed. Um, Seeing where they are now and tracking them over the next couple months, and be in a position to grab them when they get in good situations.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, that's brilliant, man. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
and this was of the list. This is the outside of the S&P 500. This is the only one that's in Smart Trader. So
That's odd, eh?
it is, dude. It is.
Like, out of
It
all
is.
of them, it's like, man,
Yeah.
yeah. Because to me, a lot of even though in Darwin, uh, it's only like a 5-to-1 on that, so it kind of it'll eat your margin up a bit, but I still like ETS is just safer plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in the long term.
Yeah, instead of making the moves on individual stocks. Yeah, sometimes that's tough to be an individual stock picker, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so sometimes these just make life easier.
And then even as you look at this one, um, it still falls within everything that we teach.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And this made that major correction like you said, the S&P and everything did.
Mm-hmm.
The major correction, and now we're moving higher.
And that reversal was an 80/20 run on the daily, run the fill off the high.
Yeah, right there. Wow, wow, what a move out of that zone. My goodness, man. Everybody drop Ryan some sevens in the chat. These uh these ETFs, man. Because you don't But the ETFs I like because you don't get the drastic, hits that you can with other individual stocks and things like that. Kind of balance itself out over the long run. So like that. So we're in a key zone, but we're back in the buy zone almost on the daily. Let's go down to the 40. Eighty 20. This would be good if we get a correction opportunity to buy there. That's an 80-20 zone on the 4 hour. So like Ryan said, no matter the asset class, it's the same thing. That's quite the discovery, everybody. I don't know if everybody is really like that. That's quite the discovery in the markets. Okay. To find a zone that consistently shows up over and over and over again. That's quite the nugget. Quite the nugget. Hope everybody realizes that. Very, very powerful. Okay. In markets that a lot of people believe are random. This is not random. Okay. So let's see what happens on this, right? If anything, right, when you see this zone, it's to cue you to the fact that I probably don't want to buy right now because there's a possibility that a correction is coming. So even if you say I'm going to trade with the trend, and I believe that the trend is up for this. This has a lot of upside potential to it. This should at least tell you that I don't want to buy it here right now. It should also tell you that there's a possibility that there's a correction coming. And so I'm going to continue to follow this because if we get that correction to a low price, then if my idea is to buy, it'll give me an opportunity to do so. Any questions over anything that we covered today? No? Right. Anything to add before we log off?
No, sir. Great session, bro.
Appreciate it. Everybody, trade your zones. Trade your zones. See you tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-market prep. Bye for now.